Hello, everyone. Welcome to the I'll Try That podcast. I'm joined this week by Richard Drabwell. Say hello, Rich.
How we doing all?
And we are travelling this week. We're in sunny old England because it is currently very hot here in the UK in mid-June.
Some would say it's too hot right now.
Especially those of us in Weymouth who live in got a flat that the top floor is like hotter than the sun, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't help that I also live above a restaurant. So the heat from the restaurant radiates in, and then the gentleman downstairs apparently doesn't turn his heat off ever, and it just all accumulates in my attic bedroom, which is not great. So yeah, I'm suffering a bit at the moment, but not that I'm complaining.
The chap's not turning off his heating is a double-edged sword because it's the worst thing ever in the summer, but in the winter, I think you had some very good electricity bills because of him.
That was it. Yeah, I didn't turn my heating on all winter. That's no word of a lie. Not one point did I turn it on. I was in shorts and t-shirts the whole winter. It's ridiculous.
There you go. So as I said, double-edged swords. It's very much a seasonal benefit.
Seasonal benefit. And right now I'm suffering.
So to go back to the episode. So we're going to go to we're in sunny UK, as I said. We're heading to Bedford for Eagle Brewery, and we're going to be trying their banana bread beer and their Waggle dance honey beer. But Rich, I understand you have a hot topic to discuss.
I do have a hot topic to discuss. So as of yesterday, I was in Plymouth, and I was perusing the Sainsbury's in Plymouth. Unfortunately, stepping away from the beer, and I was trying to buy a bottle of gin.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Because I wanted to drink.
Party more than one person, or a party for one?
More than one person. I was not not sad alone drinking. I was.
What's your go-to with gin then? If you're trying to buy in that environment?
Well, that's it. Well, that was my trouble. I was trying to buy a bottle of gin, but they were just all outrageously expensive for what I was doing. So I was looking, and then my eyes was caught by the lowest priced bottle that I could see, but for £16.
Okay.
But the reason this isn't me talking about the gin. It was what the gin came in, which was what interested me more. So. You've heard of Greendale's, the original London Dry Gin?
Yes.
I'm assuming. So I don't know if you can see it, but I picked up. It's a bottle completely made out of cardboard.
Yes.
For gin.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Which was it says working towards a greener future sort of thing. But the glass bottle of the Greendale's was £20, but the cardboard bottle was £16. But the reason I wanted to bring it up was because. Is this feasible for beer in some way, shape, or form? Because supposedly it's meant to be a greener way of creating it, even though I thought glass was pretty recyclable in the grand scheme of things.
It's the cost of creating glass, though, is one of the massive expenses for it. And also the distribution and the weight of glass in comparison to cardboard. So, if these mega companies that are shipping around beer, obviously they've got to take into account how much it costs to take their beer from one place to another.
Yeah.
And in glass, it takes more tonnage, more more costs, therefore, whereas gin is obviously less volume in comparison. But it's a great question about, have you come across any beer brands in cardboard?
Well, no, I've come across them. They've started doing if you've got a 6-pack of cans, instead of in the plastic, they now have the cardboard holders.
Yeah.
And there was...
That's become quite mainstream now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the top of instead of the 6-pack being that are made of those ringlets that, are made of plastic and they strangle turtles, they go and find turtles and they just go up behind them and they just strangle them.
Yeah.
They're actually like, they're card on top of it. I've also seen like special glue where the cans are just stuck together.
Yes.
And then you can twist them and then they come unstuck.
Yeah. There was other breweries were sticking to just plastic bottles as well.
Mm-hmm.
I saw.
I've seen a lot of aluminium bottles, again, quite recyclable aluminium, isn't it? I've seen quite a few of those come out.
But that was it. But it was just interesting because I've never ever seen a spirit done in it before.
Absolute popularised it, so they are the people who have popularised putting cardboard or paper on it. But do you know there has been a beer brand that has done it?
Oh, has there? Okay, who was that?
Okay, I'll give you a guess who it might be. It's a big boy. I'll give you that clue.
Oh, okay. Carling, weirdly. What?
It's close. It begins with a C.
Carlsberg or Kopparberg?
It's correct.
It's Carlsberg. I thought it might be one of those big brands that sponsors a football team or something like that. Because I feel I feel at a football stadium they might have done that.
Oh, that's a good idea. 'Cause you can't throw cardboard bottles
yeah.
don't have the same level of like projectile violence to them. But actually, I think what's really the case of why it's been driven by the big players is because the cost investment to create a usable cardboard bottle device or structure will take huge amounts of R&D to make that happen. And also not to mention we do a lot of work in sustainability as well, and one of the big things our production director keeps reminding us is actually kind of if you're using especially like recycled materials for your product, those recycled materials, there's only kind of like a finite number in the world basically of places and that do it, and all of the big players have the buying power to basically book those in advance. Whereas all the smaller players are basically scrambling for the scraps to kind of make it happen. Whereas the big players are saying, right, we're having that recyclable material, boom, year on year, this is what we're doing, month by month, this is what we're doing. So that's probably why I was expecting as well that it was going to be. And when this Carlsberg card, beer bottle came out, and it was it's their like kind of classic 330ml bottle, but like a little bit squatter, a little bit fatter, with a Carlsberg like paper label wrapped around it as well. But they've kept the whole card, kind of color, that kind of like grey. Well, you know what card color, like untreated card color, basically, as the main color around the bottle, but with the gold, the kind of the green and the white of Carlsberg around it. So it's interesting.
That's it. I'm a really big fan of it. One, just because it's considerably easier to carry, just because of the less weight. That is, you really only have the weight of the liquid and the little bit of cardboard being used in it. Yeah. So me strolling back from Sainsbury's back home was considerably easier. And cost-wise, it was considerably cheaper. As we know, the cost of living is going up, but everyone still loves a gin and tonic. So, and I think it's quite funky, even for a novelty idea that they're only going to do a little bit of it. I was drawn to it. I was going to bowl. I'm a sucker for a novelty, any form of novelty alcohol.
But it happened to be the cheapest gin there as well, which is great.
And it's recyclable. So and you can smuggle it into a festival. You can bring these in. You're not allowed to bring glass into festival grounds. So this is
Would they not just say, but hang on, that's spirit. You can't bring
that no. So you can't bring glass into the camping ground. You can only bring. Okay. So So I think it's got many benefits. I just found it interesting, so I thought I'd bring it to the table.
No, it's very good. It's very good. I think I love it to kind of see these kind of sustainable materials and sustainable ideas actually hit the shelves. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah,
really good.
Well, talking about non-cardboard bottles, let's talk about these bottles from Eagle Brewery, 500 mils. Right, Eagle Brewery. We said they're from Bedford. So where's Bedford? I've just looked it up in a map. It's in between Luton, Northampton, and Cambridge.
The trifecta.
The trifecta.
Yeah.
Right slap bang up there. And the fact I have here, I'll wow you with a fact.
Go on then, it better be good.
And then you give me something. Okay. So officially opened as the Eagle Brewery on 18th of May 1976 by the Duke of Gloucester. The brewing facility originally formed part of the Charles Wells estate. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, right. So what year did they open again?
Well, this says that the Eagle Brewery on that site opened up on the 18th of May 1976. But that doesn't mean that's when it started. I think that's just when this is specific, where they currently make the beer is made. Because I believe it's older, right? Eagle Brewery is an older brewery.
That's what I believe it was. But I also don't believe that they were brewing banana bread beer in 1976. Yes. I feel that's a bit more futuristic and a bit more...
How do you think?
I think so, yeah. I don't know how long's banana bread been about? When did we get bananas?
What do you mean, when did we get bananas?
Well, when did we get bananas in the UK? So then that might give an inkling to when banana bread was created.
Bananas have been in the UK for quite a while, mate. It definitely wasn't 1976 and suddenly bananas appeared in our shelves for the first time in our supermarkets.
When did bananas come to
we need to find this out. We need to bring this back to the beer. I feel it's hundreds of years we've had bananas.
1633.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay,
But
bananas
when
have been
did
around a
bananas
while.
and bread come together to
right.
make this deliciousness? So we must clarify as well. So banana bread, for those that don't know, is a cake, isn't it?
Yeah, cake. A very delicious cake.
I love banana bread.
1893, the first recipe for banana bread came out.
So there you go. So we're talking some old school recipes
Some
here.
old school recipes, yeah. Yeah, so banana bread beer could have been, I take it back. Banana bread beer could have been around since 1983.
So the brewing site itself has been around for longer, but it opened officially as Eagle Brewery in 1976.
Oh, okay.
Who do you think owns Eagle Brewery?
Am I going to be really upset by the answer?
Okay, let's put it this way. I know of two people in relative recent history who have owned it, two companies. One, this is where I've got this kind of information from. One well-known company,
Yeah.
Another one who is also well-known, but not who you'll never guess them. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'm reading a name off the bottle.
Okay, tell me.
I've got Marstones, Carlsberg Marstones.
Yeah, so Carlsberg Marston's Brewing Company, CMBC as they're known, did own.
Oh, did own?
They bought it in 2017 from the Charles Wells Brewing arm, but they then sold it in, I think, 2021, or might be even 2022. So it's relatively new news. Who do you think they sold it
to? Heineken?
No.
Brewdog?
No. I'll give you a clue. They're from Spain. We love their beers.
Is it Estrella?
It is, but it's the other one. It's the Dam. So it's SA Dam.
SA Dam.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So then why does my bottle? I'm assuming this is just an old bottle of beer then.
I feel like they've just been still printing underneath the Carlsberg Marston's name. Maybe they haven't fully got the it all kind of like their labels updated yet. That's probably what it is. But yeah, it's, as I said, it's still very relatively new news.
Yeah.
So this article, which is from 2022, so this is when they're announcing it, at the end of 2022, they're basically saying that Dan was going to buy it. So, you know, it might still be going under like a transition process, basically.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind the beers they brew. I know they're still big, but they're not as big as some others.
That's it. They said that all staff will be retained.
That's good.
That's always nice to hear. Basically, it's Dam's only second brewery outside of Spain.
Oh, really? So they're creeping.
So they're very much Spain focused, but obviously it looks like this is like trying to be a bit more of a reach outside of Spain expansion, which is interesting, isn't it?
Well, I suppose if you're doing really well in one place and you're making enough money, you might be like, you know what? I don't need this anymore. I'm quite happy with what I've got. We don't need to expand.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
you know?
that's the way I like to think of business. If I owned a business, I wouldn't want to grow any bigger.
That's fair enough. A lot of businesses like that.
Yeah.
They just want to get to a certain point and go, right, that's it, done. Let's just keep doing this.
I've completed business.
Certainly a lot less stress if you just complete business that way.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I own my one business. Done. That's all I need. It's there.
Exactly.
But I'm enjoying the Eagle Brewery logo on top. I think that's a pretty cool bit of design. Functionally, the wings wouldn't fly if the eagle was trying to fly, but that's just me really nitpicking at the small things.
Yeah, proportionally, I agree with you. I think the wings are the head's quite big, basically, and how it's connected to the. But anyway, I agree with you. It's this really interesting line drawing, isn't it? Like a continuous line drawing of an eagle. Which is fascinating. It looks really good on their website as well. So how they've done it, and they've done like beer fonts as well, where it's like one wing kind of setting up, and it's not like it's not a bit German Nazi kind of like wing. It's it's definitely.
I know what you're trying to say, Joe.
Turn over there to the left kind of wing is more what they're doing.
Well, that's it. I'm just reading on their brewing page, and it goes: the eagle has been associated with the town of Bedford for centuries. But you'll notice there's a difference in the way the Eagle Brewery represents its bird. It looks to the left. We believe this represents the company's unique point of view.
They're not ambi-turners. They can't turn right.
But also, I'm now going to have to find out why Bedford is so entwined with the eagle.
I want to know all about the eagle and Bedford's history. This is fascinating.
Because
I'm going down a real rabbit hole here, and I love it, or an eagle hole. And I love it.
How many eagles are there in Bedford?
Well, there's got to be a reason. Maybe there was just some guy back in the medieval times that brought an eagle back. and that became the mascot of Bedford, and then that's it.
Bedford Town Football Club has an eagle as their one of the logo.
There you go.
But I don't think that's the reason.
Well, it's reinforcing why Bedford and Eagles are synonymous. They are called the Bedford Eagles football team. So there you go.
Our story, the Eagle Bookshop, about Eagle Brewery. I've just Googled, you'd assume there'd be something, Bedford and the Eagle. Why does Bedford like eagles? I know you're all sitting on the edge of your seat when I Google this.
I think you're going to have to edit this episode and cut this up a bit so it makes a bit more sense.
No, I quite like this, me just Googling eagle things. I can't find a thing. 5 reasons why bald eagles are the best. Oh, that's cool. Apart from that, their football team's named after it. But yeah, I will. Next episode, I'll come up why Bedford likes eagles. But it's more to the point. So far, I remember I tried banana bread beer. Must have been when I first...
Okay. I literally just Googled it, and the first thing came up tells us all about why nicknames the birth of the Eagles with Bedford.
Why?
Don't know what on earth you were Googling.
I was fine. It's because I'm on Bing and not Google.
That's... Why on earth you... Right, anyway, we're going to have to cut this whole Eagle thing out. This is not really...
I'm keeping this whole Eagle thing in.
This is awful.
It's not. It's great podcasting, because they realise we're not as polished as we come across in every other episode. This... I remember first trying this banana bread beer a few years back. When, in Asda and like Tesco, they have those 3 for a £5 on all of the bottles. And I remember going, you know what? I was just trying different ones all over the shop. And I remember buying it and going, you know what? This is really, really nice. But it's definitely not something you go, I'm going to buy 24 of. But I probably would drink this more often if it was kind of more readily available, if that makes sense.
No, I totally agree with you. I think it was, again, I bought this as a big 500ml bottle, and this feels like a lot. I'm getting through a chunk here. Yeah. But it's tasty. It's really nice. And, so banana bread did have the nickname, or still does, as liquid bread. Don't know if you ever heard that before.
No, I haven't.
Banana bread was, especially the ale, was known as liquid bread. So they've, long used that history of finest malts and fair trade bananas to awaken the senses with a seriously fruity, rich, yet surprisingly versatile banana bread beer. I like the fact they use like Challenger and Styringen Goldings hops in there as well. Yeah. I was looking at the Waggle Dance, which is the other beer, the honey beer, that we've got to try as well. And they use Fuggle hops as one of their hop categories, which I love, because obviously Fuggles is very known for its Kent origins.
Also, Fuggle is a great word.
Isn't it, right? Oh. It's not a word you hear every day.
No.
Unless you live where I live and you walk past the Fuggle pub,
But back to the taste. I think this tastes fantastic.
Yeah, I do like this. It's that sweetness, isn't it? I quite like the sweetness of the beer, but it's not like an overly sweet. We're not like talking Tiny Rebel levels of sweetness. We're talking like kind of like a cake, basically. It tastes like a nice cake.
Well, that's it. I was thinking, like, when we were at the craft beer festival, we tried that stuff, that beer that tasted like a donut. Like, you had the aftertaste of a donut. And I'm tasting this, and I'm not so sure I'm getting the bread, but I'm getting, you remember those foam bananas you'd get in the pick and mix?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the kind of like the slightly synthetic, chemically banana, but the banana nonetheless.
Okay. So it's, all right. Or almost like, those Nesquik banana milkshake powders.
That's the one. That's it.
Okay. Well, I agree. It's going down really well. I think it lives up to the liquid bread kind of name with that one. What do you think? Have you tried the Waggle Dance?
I haven't tried that. I couldn't get the Waggle Dance. I could only get the banana bread beer from my local Asda.
Well, I mean, as you'd imagine, the banana bread beer is this bright yellow. It's got an amazing design of like a beer coming out of a banana skin.
Classic.
And that's quite fun. And the Waggle Dance is their honey beer. And so it's orange in comparison.
Yeah.
And it's got a beehive with some honey sticks coming out of it.
Love it.
So the Liz, my wife, absolutely loved this beer, the Waggle Dance. She was like, I really get the honey. She was like, I would drink this. She even said this is one of her favourite beers, and she's had it once. So like that's the thing. That's a good view. I'd have to get her some more Waggle Dance. She was like, this is the best.
Love that.
So that's a big win there for Waggle Dance. She's got a big fan there.
Yeah.
But basically, what's described of this is that where do you think Waggle Dance comes from? I'm talking to you about honey, talking to you about bees, something about that area.
So I think I can guess this correctly.
Tell me.
So the waggle dance is when a bee finds a pollinated plant and it flies back to the hive and it does a certain kind of waggle that then informs all the other bees of where the pollinated honey or where their pollen plant is. So they're all like, hell yes, he's done a sweet dance with the directions. I know where to go.
Oh, you nailed it. That's exactly what it
Yeah.
is. How good is that?
I love
it's
it.
A waggle dance. Bees have a waggle dance. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I have to thank an ex-girlfriend for that information. She was obsessed with bees. She informed me all about it.
Go. And yeah, I mean, sure enough, with that amazing kind of background, that story about it, the waggle dance, they say that the perfect blend of this beer will make you waggle dance yourself. You know, because it's that's what they want us. That's what they're leaning into it. I love it.
I like that. How many waggle dances before you're doing your waggle dance, Joe?
Well, I think Liz was already after a couple of sips waggle dancing around the room. She was loving it so much. So, but nice. It was tasty. I must say, my taste palate, I didn't quite get a really strong hit of honey, but it was sweet. It was like a smooth sweetness. It was that kind of like nectary, like honey-esque kind of sweetness. Again, both these beers, the banana bread and the waggle dance, have been quite sweet, actually, haven't they?
Yeah.
Although you haven't had the waggle dance, but in comparison, they've both been. For me, they've been quite.
Yeah, no, sweet. definitely on the sweeter end for me, which I don't have much sweet stuff in my life, being a diabetic anymore. So it's quite nice to try something occasionally that does hit the spot.
But no, I think both of these. I think where these guys are falling down is that they are, even though they've only been in the, I say only, they've been in that their current location since 1976. They must have been around for much longer than that. They've clearly been, beers of this nature have been brewed for way longer under the Charles Wells kind of name. But then they rebranded under Eagle Brewery in 1976. I was saying, my issue is I always think is they're quite hard to find, aren't they? Or it's like they're just in these big bottles and they don't really do anything that interesting. Like they're not in cans, they're not anywhere else. They're just, you're in the bottle, and the bottles are basically relegated now in the UK supermarkets to like a specific section, almost like the fuddy-duddy old person section, which I don't like, because these are great beers. These are really nice beers, and they should be, more accessible, and more, more people should be like able to pick them up, basically.
Well, that's it. I'm looking at their website now, and I'm looking on their beers, and they only have 1, 2, 3, 4 beers in their shop. Which is like, it feels that is all they are doing, and that's all they're brewing. They literally have a core range. So the Eagle IPA, the banana bread, the waggle dance, and a sticky toffee pudding. But
sticky toffee pudding.
And what I'm feeling is if they've created the banana bread, I think is absolutely fantastic. You guys are raving about the waggle dance, and they've nailed the flavors. And it feels that there's a lot of breweries out there that are putting out these beers with all these unusual flavors and everything like that. And they're not hitting the nail on the head in any way, shape or form with that flavor or taste profile. These guys have absolutely nailed the taste profile.
Yeah.
It feels like they should either be pushing this, because there is a whole market for this kind of beer. People like such as myself love it. There's a whole market where they could be pushing, really going for it. Or there's a whole market for collaborations with other brewers to maybe get their name out there more.
They've been around for a long time. I guess it's just the fact that they know their lane, basically. I guess, or they're not wanting to. People pick this up for certain reasons. I mean, it's quite, for a beer that's been around since the mid '70s. It's obviously got a very interesting packaging design. It looks interesting, doesn't it? It looks. It doesn't look like they've just left it dusty on a shelf. It looks like it's been designed and thought about, in recent years. But something just sparked there where you were saying about how they could maybe get their profile out there. You know how when we were talking with James at Verdant the other day?
Yeah.
And he was saying there could be a place for beers that are specifically made for with flavorings for cooking purposes. I feel like this is where these Eagle Brewery guys could be as well. Like banana bread, waggle dance, and sticky toffee pudding. I mean, you've got 4 actual end products that you're trying to replicate in your beer stuff. Couldn't you make a banana bread beer bread cake. Again.
I suppose, yeah, because you've got your Guinness cake, haven't you? What's stopping you from going, you know what? I'm going to make a banana bread cake with banana bread beer. I really don't think there is. Once again, have we stumbled across a missing link in the market for? I think
we have.
Yeah. Oh God, maybe that's what we need to do on the podcast is create this product.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do the podcast about other people's beer, and then when you nail it, we'll talk about yours on this as well, Rich. I think you've got this. I think this is all you.
I believe I've already made it because we've already spoken about my beer on this podcast. So,
yeah, the demand of people from this podcast listener base wanting to try your beers is pretty big.
Yeah, but you can't wait till I brew some more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, don't worry, listeners. We'll make sure you get a chance. Some lucky listeners can get some of Rich's beers. I'm afraid to say they don't have any numbers to share because they're not on Instagram or Twitter that I can find.
Oh, okay.
But no, I think overall, Eagle Brewery, some really novelty beers, but actually very tasty beers.
Yeah.
Banana bread and Waggle dance that I've had. I'm not so sure about the sticky toffee pudding. It's a dark beer. It could be delicious. Hey, I'm open to try it because it's from these guys and they make some great tasting beers that taste like what they're trying to make. So that sounds great.
No, yeah, I would, give them a go for definite. Asda, that's where I got mine from. I think that's where I get them from most times.
If in doubt, Asda. Or the knockoff shop.
Yeah, Wise Buys.
There you go.
Yeah. Wise Buys Weymouth. I'm going to plug them over.
There's a similar theme in all of your purchasing habits, like the gin, the cheapest gin that you could find, and it's that you look for great quality. Yeah, that's all.
I'm a savvy shopper. They're hard times, Joe, at the moment. This is I've got a greyhound. He eats a lot of food. I'm not paying for heating. I'm just thinking of ways to save money.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe, Rich,
Barbara, and Simo,
goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter, I'll Try That Podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.